Buchholz Plant Introductions, Part 4. The previous Flora Wonder blog, Buchholz Plant Introductions Part 3, ended with the revelation that the original tree of the Buchholz introduction, Acer palmatum amber ghost, is now growing at Iroquois Garden, the arboretum/zoo of Michael Steinhardt, located in the Mount Kisco area of New York State. His collection also contains many other Buchholz trees, some of which are original or champion cultivars, and I am proud and relieved that they are safely and pleasantly housed in an endowed situation. As I have previously alluded, I would have preferred to keep all my trees, where they would follow me into the afterlife and the holy angels would water and tend to them. But doubting that I had that option, then Iroquois was the next best situation. So, the Ghost series of Japanese maples, of which Acer palmatum amber ghost is one of the founding members. The so-called series was not a term I coined. I think it arose after an article appeared in a Portland newspaper, the Oregonian, sometime in the 1990s. In the old days, the local fish wrap actually had a garden section, now defunct, that appeared once a week. I remember, vaguely, when their female reporter showed up one morning with a dour-looking cameraman. He encumbered with heavy, dangling, shiny black photo gear. The poor guy looked like his assignment was with a root canal dentist, and I took an instant dislike with his jaded demeanor. Nevertheless, we trundled down to the lower greenhouses to document the various cultivars of the ghost maples. It was spring and the maples showed off delightfully, and before long the sourpuss became hooked on the fantastic leaf patterns of each ghost. Suddenly I was energized too, that a professional photographer and I shared mutual enthusiasm over some weird maple leaves. Hey, pretty cool. Shutter guy, look at my treasures. I didn't brag, but I almost wanted to say that I already had better photos than the ones he was about to take. But when the article appeared, I was very impressed with his craft after all. It was then, perhaps, that I realized I was just a mediocre photographer, but one blessed with great subjects. The ghosts zoomed with popularity, and I can still sell every one I produce, though some are propagated in greater quantities than others. I could argue that everyone was worthy of introduction since they continue to sell 30 years later, but I obviously have my favorites. I don't expect anyone to agree with my personal rating, but here they are in order, with number 1 being my favorite. Number 1. Acer palmatum amber ghost, 1995, approximate date of introduction. Number 2, Acer palmatum purple ghost, 1995. Number 3, Acer palmatum sister ghost, 1995. Number 4, Acer palmatum grandma ghost, 1995. Number 5, Acer palmatum first ghost, 1993. Number 6, Acer palmatum dark ghost, 2015. Number 7, Acer palmatum uncle ghost, 1995. Number 8, Acer palmatum baby ghost, 1995. Number 9, Acer palmatum Martha's ghost, 1995. My favorite? But based on what? The answer is garden worthiness, such as vigor, adaptability, disease resistance, toleration of summer and winter temperature extremes, etc. Commercial appeal and ease of propagation are important factors, of course. All ghosts propagate about the same, via grafting. But I can really assess commercial appeal because our production numbers are relatively small and we currently sell out of all of them anyway. The cultivar name probably matters, though, for if I had unlimited numbers, I suppose that purple ghost would outsell uncle ghost. All plant names matter. Another criteria to be favored is just individual preference. such as most men have with women. Does one prefer blonde, brunette, or red-haired, tall or short, petite, well-endowed, or just medium? Although I ranked First Ghost at number 5, I must begin with it for obvious reasons. It was the first ghost to be named. It originated as a branch mutation while all the others were seedling selections. I had a miscellaneous group of stock maples in the far east section of the nursery, which included a couple of Acer palmatum Beni Shigatsu Sawa, formerly known as Aka Shigatsu Sawa. It was nearly dark as I approached one evening, and I was puzzled to see a ghostly apparition hovering over one maple. And at first I assumed it to be a white plastic bag or somebody's t-shirt. How could I have missed a 2 to 3-year-old branch sport before? I propagated the mutant portion and labeled it Ghost. But a few years later, before I had sold or given any away, I changed the name to First Ghost to distinguish it from the other ghost I was developing. There are 2 other cultivars that closely resemble First Ghost, and I grow both of them. Acer palmatum Phantom Flame, discovered by Crispin Silva of Oregon about 7 to 10 years ago, and Acer palmatum Ghost Dancer, discovered by Dave Jarrell, also of Oregon. It's interesting that Silva named his maple Phantom, as that is also kind of a ghostly name. The flame part of the name is because its new growth is white but with a brilliant red edge to the new leaves. First Ghost also displays a reddish leaf edge, but probably Phantom Flame is more pronounced. If I had discovered the latter, I probably would have introduced it, in defense to First Ghost, which is 20 years its elder. The other cultivar similar to Acer palmatum First Ghost, Acer palmatum Ghost Dancer, a great name, I think was discovered and named by Mr. Jarrell at about the same time as my introduction, but neither of us knew about the others. What a remarkable coincidence, then. I've seen references supposing that Ghost Dancer is a member of the Ghost series, but wrong. I'll continue with number 9, Martha's Ghost, which was abandoned by me almost immediately after it was propagated and introduced. No doubt some, perhaps the Mr. Maple Company from North Carolina, still produce this cultivar, but I found no compelling reason to reproduce it. And for the past 20 years, I haven't had one in the collection at all. I don't remember much about it since I have no photos, so I can't even begin to provide the description. I regret admitting the above, that I was so mindlessly negligent, but I was just trying to make a living as a nurseryman, and I had to make sharp business decisions. So that may explain why number 9, Martha's Ghost, is my least favorite of all the Ghost series, because I never made any money off of it. It was named for an employee who worked here for a short time in a management position, but who ultimately faltered. And maybe that's why I also discontinued with the selection. I also don't grow Acer palmatum Baby Ghost anymore, and since there hasn't been even one in the collection for the past dozen years, I rank it near the bottom along with Martha's Ghost. I had no good reason to drop Baby Ghost entirely. I just think it happened by accident. It was never as dazzling as the others, but it was the most dwarf of the group, with a low spreading habit. Imagine my surprise when I stumbled upon it a couple years ago at the Kubota Gardens in Seattle, which reaffirmed my description of its form. Their source for the tree is not certain to me, although I suspect it was from one of my Washington customers. I should probably make an effort to reacquire Baby Ghost, then I'll apologize for shunning it from the party. Number 7 on my list, Acer palmatum Uncle Ghost, is admittedly another introduction that, if never selected and produced, the world of horticulture probably wouldn't care less. And honestly, I have raised many other seedlings in subsequent years that equal or better Uncle Ghost, but maybe I'm too harsh about my discoveries, and I should just shut up and allow the market to evaluate them. One selection that probably better Acer's palmatum Uncle Ghost is Acer palmatum Dark Ghost, but I actually regret its introduction because I previously announced to maple aficionados that I was done with more inclusions into the Ghost series, that I was now post-Ghost, and I should have left well enough alone. Note that Dark Ghost appeared about 20 years later than the others, and now I feel that I have belittled the others, but too late to undo. The following 4 introductions are by far the most commercially successful: Acer palmatum's Grandma Ghost, Sister Ghost, Purple Ghost, and Amber Ghost. Note that when I previously gave my approximate date of introduction, the original seedlings themselves were discovered 5 to 9 years prior to the first commercial offering. If you set a seedling of interest aside for further evaluation, the tree must still impress you later, when you decide to name and propagate it. Remember my admonition that a final cultivar name should be established prior to propagation to avoid confusion later. Then, the market will decide if one should continue with it. The above 4 cultivars arose at the same time and are daughters of the same mother, Acer palmatum Kasagiyama. At one point, what is now Purple Ghost used to be called Kasag DG92, and that's because of the parent's name beginning, while DG92 meant that the original tree was, and still is, planted in the display garden and grounded in 1992. Acer palmatum Grandma Ghost displays delicious foliage and is especially fun to watch the leaves evolve throughout the season. Slow motion magic. In the Vertree/Gregory Japanese Maples 2009, the description begins, a small to medium-sized tree. This cultivar is one of the Ghost series of netted varieties from the Buchholz Buchholz Nursery, Oregon. Then ends with, it needs protection from the afternoon sun. I'll take the admonition as a suggestion only, for I have seen trees in full sun also. But all maples appreciate some afternoon shade, as do plants people too. Acer palmatum's Sister Ghost evokes lovely friendship in the garden, and I imagine all the other trees admire her feminine charm. She can look fresh all summer if well sited, some shade, and provided adequate moisture. The cultivar is rather vigorous when grown in our white poly greenhouses, and branches spread laterally about 3 times in width versus height. Autumn color ranges from marmalade hue to vibrant red. And on a particular tree, the color show is not predictable from year to year, at least in my experience. Acer palmatum Purple Ghost is the champion of the series in terms of commercial appeal, and thousands are now in American and European gardens. The claim in Japanese Maples, Purple Ghost is a seedling of Shigatsu Sawa with a probable pollen parent of Kasagiyama, is not, probably not, but definitely not correct. Purple Ghost is a vigorous selection growing in a dense, broad canopy, and it made a great row run crop when we used it to produce it in the field. Note that a specimen growing in a friend's garden, Sam Hatch, the maple lady, is already larger than the original tree in our display garden. I have preached many times before that horticultural production frequently produces a superior product than the usual abnormal original plant, and I never consider the latter to be the prototype when providing descriptions. Thankfully, the Kasag DG92 name has been dropped in favor of Purple Ghost, although some with the code name were released before I made amends. The original Acer palmatum Amber Ghost is also growing at the Iroquois Garden in New York, if I recall its history correctly. Most growers who produced the cultivar would rank its form and vigor at number 1, and I suppose that is why I did also. However, it's subjective to argue that it's superior to Purple Ghost and the others. One attribute of Amber Ghost that I find fun and rewarding is its propensity as a mother tree to produce a plethora of offspring with a wide variety of sizes and shapes. Leaf colors range from near Amber Ghost duplicates to lace leaves, strange talon-looking shapes, dwarves, etc. The partial list below illustrates a mother's pride with her own fecundity. There you have it. I've done my duty, but with the caveat that this is the best of my recollection. I'm humbled that my career was punctuated with the development of these maples, but I know Flora herself would like to take the credit. If you are a specialty nursery or boutique garden center wanting the rare and exceptional plants your customers love, register as a wholesale customer on buchholznursery.com today.